Welcome to Point to Rise, your podcast that gives you permission to dream big, take messy action, and turn your talent into profit while turning your back on perfection. My name is Susanne, high performance and mindset coach, former international ballerina, profitable entrepreneur, and founder of Point to Rise, a movement designed to empower dancers. It is my mission to use my own story as an inspiration for today's generation of dancers. And now sit back, stretch, warm up, or zip your coffee and love learning how much it matters to point at yourself first to rise to all that you are capable of.
Welcome back to the podcast. Yes, I am back. I took a little sabbatical. Not that I had to go through particularly some issues or any kind of family. I just was in a non-creative space, meaning I was trying to figure out so many things. And I'll get into this here in a moment, that I couldn't talk about it yet. So this is what today's episode is actually about. So last week's July 3rd's Rise Daily Newsletter went out, and I received an incredible amount of comments around thank you so much. This is exactly where I'm at right now. And we talked about what success looked like in the top story. And with success always comes failure. They go hand in hand. And many of you said that actually they feel that they're in a space of failure. They feel like a failure even. And so let's talk about the fear of failure, how to overcome it, and what it actually costs us when we're leaning into that fear of failure. Let me start with, what is failure? What is your personal definition of failure? And what is your personal definition of success? Let's start there. Like, before we can actually identify ourselves and knowing what failure feels like or means like to us, we have to find that definition. And let me give you an example. So for me, failure used to be something that I took on from my environment, from my years and years and years on stage as a ballet dancer, and even in business, right? Failure was not meeting other people's expectations. Failure for me felt like not succeeding and in getting the accolades and the validation and the love. Failure felt like hearing, I am disappointed in you. Now, when we attach our own success or our definition of success on other people's opinion, then failure also is attached to other people's opinion, or the definition of failure is attached to other people's opinion. And when I first got into the space of personal development, I couldn't even talk because I was so afraid of doing something wrong, being labeled as a failure. And while I still have that fear, I have learned a little bit better now on how to navigate these emotions, because that's all it is. It's just an emotion that we can navigate through and take a step back and breathe in. So for me now, my definition of failure is actually, there is no failure. The only thing or the only action that I would perhaps label as a disappointment or a failure is when I'm untrue to myself or somebody else. And giving up, giving in to the emotion that lead me to believe that I am not good enough and not capable of achieving something or doing something. That for me would, you gave up. And that I see, like, I let other people's limiting beliefs determine whether or not I can do something. Now, Am I at the point where all of this isn't bothering me and I don't have to coach myself through it? Oh, absolutely not. Like, this is an ongoing process over and over and over again. Um, w- just finding a co-founder, a third co-founder for Rise is it's a journey. And I am on the phone with people that have achieved on paper so much more than I ever had. They have education titles out of the wazoo from Harvard and God knows where. And I'm having conversation with them, and not feeling like a failure is something that I had to overcome. And every day I'm stepping into it, I'm overcoming that same feeling of not being good enough. Um, and I want to point this out here, that particularly in the performing arts world, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, we have this belief that if we're not measuring up to somebody else's expectation or the expectation of the industry, that we are automatically a failure. And I'm here to tell you that that isn't the truth, that it is something that you no longer have to buy into, because you get to define what your success looks like, not the industry that you're in. And I want you to hear this again. It is not up to somebody else to define whether or not you're successful or not. It is up to you. And then figure out what it actually is that defines your success. Like, what does it look like? Not somebody else's, not a teacher telling you when you can hit this high note, or when you can do the 32 footies, or when you have the $1 million in your bank account, then you are successful. You can proudly wear the title of being success. And if you don't have that, therefore you're a failure. That is no longer true. The world has completely changed many, many moons ago, by the way. And I feel like the performing arts still hasn't quite caught up with us. So I'm here to tell you, you are not a failure. Ever will you be a failure. Just don't give up. Just keep working on yourself and keep exploring what loving yourself really looks like, and how much you have actually neglected yourself over the past couple of years, and how much more you can invest in yourself right now. So I am, as always, sending you so much love. I hope this was helpful. You are not a failure. Till soon. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If this message resonates with you, please pass it on to someone who needs to hear this right now. And if you like what you've heard, your feedback will go a very long way. If you just take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, that would mean the world to me. Till next time, point at yourself to rise to all that you are capable of.